If you are like me, you probably have a Spotify subscription. In exchange for an email address and a few bucks a month, you enjoy the privilege of carrying every song you could possibly imagine right in your pocket. And if you are anything like me, you probably take this for granted. Not to fear though. You should. Like smartphones, air conditioning, dishwashers, and every other contemporary luxury that has seamlessly nestled itself into our day-to-day, it is a feature, not a bug, that it is so deeply integrated in our lives that it is beyond detection. But this is not an excuse to overlook it. Spotify, and music streaming generally, is a miracle of human achievement. Never have we had access to music to the extent that we do today. The days of collecting physical copies of music are so far behind us that it seems ridiculous to treat it as anything but a nostalgic hobby, and it would be equally futile to continue buying individual songs on iTunes. Instead, thanks to streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music, not our music, but all music is just there. It's in your pocket on your phone, it's in your car, it's at your desk at work, it's everywhere. Unsurprisingly, Spotify boasts a huge user base, about 360 million monthly listeners, with about half of those being Spotify Premium members. And people are using the service as you would expect. We are discovering more new music and listening to more hours of it than ever before. Broadly, I think this is excellent news. Like all art, music is an extremely rewarding thing to spend your time on, and it is exciting to watch our culture embrace new tools with which to access it. The ability to stream content on demand has exploded our capacity to consume it. But with abundance comes passivity. If we dive into what people are actually listening to on Spotify, we find a mixed bag. First, a point of optimism. 55% of users in Spotify's target demographic listened to more music in 2020 than in previous years. Even better, 68% of those surveyed regularly discover new content with the help of Spotify's algorithms. But the content of these so-called discoveries is, in my opinion, disappointing. By far, the most listened to playlists of 2020 were top hits playlists. This is to be expected, but even with these being the most popular, the most listened to mood was chill music, lo-fi beats. Think that YouTube playlist with the girl sitting at her desk doing homework. What's more, in 2020, Spotify reported an 18% increase in time spent listening to gaming playlists and a 55% increase in time spent listening on gaming consoles. So then, is this the classic criticism we've all heard from our dads that young people mindlessly consume made-for-radio trash without any second thought? Maybe a little bit, but honestly, not really. First of all, people like what they like. Top 40 music has been around for a long time, and let's not underestimate how difficult it is to get millions of people to pay attention to something you've created. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, you should subscribe to our channel and like this video. Anyway, this is not a criticism of taste, but of habit. These trends indicate two things. The first is that people are not so much searching out and discovering new music, but instead, new music is being fed to them algorithmically. Second, it is clear from both the rise of lo-fi music and the increase in time spent listening on consoles that more of the music we are listening to is being used to create a background for something else, most obviously video games. Listening to music is increasingly being treated as a passive endeavor, as something not requiring our full attention. Much like mindlessly scrolling through your Twitter feed for hours on end overstimulates you to the point where you probably couldn't even tell someone what you were just reading about, I think consuming music this way cheapens it. Of course, there is a time and a place for listening like this. Sometimes the situation calls for it. Maybe for you that time is when you're playing video games and you just want to have something on. However, my concern is that it appears that more and more people are consuming the majority of their music like this, without also making time to seriously sit down and pay attention to it. In doing this, our enjoyment of music remains surface level, and I believe that confining ourselves like this is a mistake. In this series, I'm going to make the case that there is much to be gained from developing a habit of taking music seriously. There is a richness that we miss out on when we don't make the time to give music our full attention, and to cultivate a sense of taste that we are able to articulate. As with all art, it is far more challenging to approach music for anything other than its entertainment value. However, I believe it is a worthwhile endeavor because in so doing, we cultivate not only a sense of musical taste that transcends any one genre, but a way of observing the world that is uniquely abstract, that is to say, uniquely musical. To develop our musical ear is to develop our sense of beauty, and by articulating what we find to be important and enjoyable about such an abstract art form, we concretize and mature our sense of artistic taste. To quote Beethoven, music is the electrical soil in which the spirit lives, thinks, and invents. In treating actively listening to music as a skill which can be developed, we become aware of the tremendous resource services like Spotify and Apple Music really are, and we can alter the way we use these resources to get more out of them. In the videos to come, I'm going to go over some of the methods I think are most helpful to approach music more intentionally. While I plan on using examples from music that I personally find interesting, my goal is to frame those examples in a way that is universally applicable. My intent is not to somehow convince you to listen to better music, whatever that even means. lessons. Instead, I want to provide some methods that you can use to get more out of the music you already enjoy, which can then be used to broaden out your musical taste. My hope is to find some middle ground between boring, vocab-laden music theory lessons and the idea that musical taste is entirely based on subjective preference. Anyway, that's all I've got for right now. If you enjoyed this introduction, I ask that you please like this video and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you can follow along. In the next part of this series, I'm going to talk about the deep connection between musical expression and the spoken word. If you have any questions, or if you have something music related that you'd like to hear more about in the future, be sure to say hi in the comments and let's chat about it. Thank you so much for taking some time to watch this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again next time.